What is up, everybody? And today I'm going to be talking to you about Season 15, or Season of the Lost. And I'm also going to be talking about the Bungie 30th Anniversary event and pack as its own little video. A little review for both of them, the story, the loot, the events, everything. So, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I hope you stick around and enjoy this video. I think the best place to start with this is the middle of Season 15. So, the Bungie 30th Anniversary event and pack. The event consists of Dares of Eternity and all that loot. Some amazing loot. You have the BXR Battler, the first legendary trace rifle, the Retrace Path. You have the legendary swords that are great, the Forerunner, which is the Magnum from Combat Evolved. It's all really fun content, and it's pretty good too. And then for the paid portion, which you could argue it's overpriced, whatever. I got the big bundle, so it's pretty cheap in comparison to how much content I got out of that pack. So I'm not really complaining in that department because I got that big bundle with Witch Queen and all the seasons and dungeons for the next year. But yeah, there's an argument that maybe the pack is a little expensive. It's a dungeon and some cosmetics. That's it. So, tell me where you stand on the pricing of the 30th Anniversary pack. But personally, I really like Grasp of Avarice. It's a really fun dungeon. Has the Master version, which gives you Artifice Armor, which is great. So, yeah, tell me your thoughts on that. Overall, I think that Dares of Eternity and the 30th Anniversary event and pack are both really good. I would take off some points for the pack, though, because it is a pretty steep price if you buy it by itself and not in a bundle. So if it was a 5-star rating, the event would get 5, but the pack would probably get 4, 4.5, because if you just take it down like $5, it's more than fair, honestly. So that's about it for the 30th anniversary stuff. Now let's get to the little bit shakier stuff in Season 15, Season of the Lost. I'm not saying that Season of the Lost was bad, but, you know, compared to seasons like Spycer or Chosen, it just didn't hold up. It is much better than Hunt, though. Season of the Hunt was not good. But there was just inconsistency there at the end with Lost. Now, I think a lot of my problem with Season of the Lost can just be blamed on the time span. It was 6 months, and we didn't have a seasonal reset. We didn't have new artifact mods or any vendor resets with 30th Anniversary yet. At least I don't believe. I know Artifact was not reset. If we had new artifact mods, or they unlocked the artifact for us at 30th Anniversary, maybe I'd have different opinions. But the sandbox update was great, and a lot of other things that came with it. But anyways, we're on to Season of the Lost now, and my gripes with it. The loot was okay. When they brought back the Trials of the 9 gear for Prophecy, that was amazing. That was a great change. I loved it. Ascendancy is great. A lot of the weapons were great. The stasis weapons are great in it. But there's also some weapons that are so bad, like Iota Draconis. I don't know why it's so bad. It has a perk that actively makes it worse, because it makes its charge rate take longer for maybe a 2% damage buff. So it drops your DPS total on a weapon that already had bad DPS. Iota Draconis is outstandingly horrible. At least it was in Season 15. But for legendaries, that's about it. I mean, you had standouts. You had Servant Leader, which was amazing. It's a great scout rifle. If you don't have it, you should pick it up. But yeah, there's some great legendaries. And then there's things like Iota Draconis, which is just horrid. Activity-wise, we had Astral Alignment, which Astral Alignment I do think is better than Override. I think Override was horrible. Override as a 3-person experience would be probably much better than Astral Alignment is. But the main problem with Astral Alignment is it gets so bland so fast. It's the Sundial Menagerie type thing. So I really enjoyed it for like 2 weeks. I loved Menagerie and Sundial the whole way through. But something about Astral Alignment just didn't feel whole. Like it didn't have enough encounters, or it just wasn't interesting enough to look at. Maybe is the only 2 enemy types thing. I'm not quite sure what the problem is with it, but it just didn't capture me like Sundial and Menagerie were able to. Astral Alignment just felt weak compared to the other 2. I think Shattered Realms was enjoyable to explore and find things in, but it just wasn't like... I think Expunge was more fun of an experience, but Shattered Realms was more interesting. Get what I'm saying? Like, it is more interesting to explore, but gameplay-wise, it wasn't as fun. Expunge tried to make you do it faster and faster and things like that, but Shattered Realm was just kind of the same thing every time. And you're supposed to play that every week for 6 months. You see what I'm getting at? It was just so much. But the biggest problem with Season of Lost, the story, and I'm not saying the story's bad, it's just how long we had to wait. We waited until the week before Witch Queen before we finished it. And it started in August. But we didn't get content for the story for like 3 months? 2, 3, 4 months? Because it ended in like November and went all the way to February before we got anything. We also had the Dawning in there, I guess, and 30th anniversary to hold us over. But honestly, if they did the exorcism at that 10th week, and then maybe took a note from Season of Worthy, which, yeah, my least favorite season they've ever done, but they could have, like, had reports that Mars was, like, fading in or something with Witch Queen. That's spoilers, but not really. But yeah, just weird things happening in Solar System after Savathun was freed from her worm. Or you have updates on Osiris, just some mild world building while we're waiting for Witch Queen. But the fact that we had 1 week between the 2 was just outrageous. That's just me, but it just didn't feel right in the end. Overall, after all that, I want to talk about exotics for a second. We have 2 weapons, 3 pieces of armor, of course. We have the Nothing Manacles, which for Season of Lost were really good. We got 2 things of Devour, or you could spam grenades if you're using Devour. Or you got grenades that didn't deal much DPS because they weakened the grenades because they track to themselves, apparently, because they're bugged. Or you could have double handhelds, and that's really cool. You had no backup plans, which made you more tanky, and shotguns gave you more melee energy, which is always fun. And dance machines, Radiant dance machines. A Hero to Zero story, really. How the Grey have fallen. When the season came out, they were so extremely overpowered, they had to be disabled in all activities, or at least Gambit and Crucible, because you could dodge infinitely and get infinite amounts of super energy, so you could super multiple times in a minute on Revenant. It was insane how many silence and squalls you could pop off. And that's not including the fact that you can slow people with your dodge on Revenant. Now, they did nerf everything about that, except for the amount of times you can dodge, I think. But it's still just not good now that you can't get the buffs. Radiant Dance Machines is garbage now, and I feel bad for hunters that Radiant Dance Machines is so bad now. Weapons, Lawrence Driver, bane of the Crucible for a little bit. Really fun. Not as good as Arbalest is now, but, you know, it's still a special linear fusion rifle. It's pretty cool, I guess. And then we also have Agriceptor, one of the greatest build weapons ever put in the game, makes stasis even better, and that's about it. That's all you can say. It's a way to make your builds even better for stasis. It's great. I love it. Now, what would I rate this season of Lost? On a 5-star system, probably like 2.5, maybe 3. Not that the 6 months was that bad. It's just we had to wait so long for Exorcism to only be around a week. And you could tell they put a lot of work into it, but it felt rushed, not in dev time, but in the fact that we kind of knew what was about to happen. Now, after playing Witch Queen, we had no idea, but it's just kind of like, what? Why a week before? There's no time to sit on anything. There's no time to like do anything about Exorcism because it was a week before Witch Queen. I feel like it could have happened back in week 10 and it would have been just fine. And then, like I said, just a few things here and there about Mars and all that happening. But the way they did it just kind of screwed it up. Loot-wise, yes, there's some great things like Servant Leader, and a lot of people like Vulpeka, but Iota Draconis is so bad, it really does drag a lot of things down with it. Darkest Before is great. I think Forge's Pledge was bugged, I believe. The Comedian is funny. Hold on, I just want to talk about the Comedian, how bad the Comedian is. The worst Nightfall weapon they've ever put in. Absolute joke that it got to stay in the fucking Nightfall loot pool when Uzume was dragged out. I understand why they'd pulled it, but oh my god, the Comedian is so bad. Another awful weapon. Maybe Canis Major. I'm not a huge fan of it. You may disagree with that, but there's some great weapons. There's some bad weapons with Season of Lost. It's just kind of a weird season. It's a pretty middle-of-the-road season. I think Spycer excelled at loot and storytelling, but its activity was the worst one. I think Expunge was great. Much better than Shattered Realms for many reasons, and maybe not as great in some others. But Chosen was also a great time. I still enjoy Battlegrounds. I think they're still fun. But, it's just not those two seasons. It's way better than Hunt, but it's just not as good as Chosen or Spycer. Anyways, that's just kind of how I feel about Season of the Lost, my impromptu review, my improvised review, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, if you like this video, like it, maybe comment, subscribe, tell me what you think. And yeah, that's about it. See you next time.